千に変わりて踏み四つ悠々心の勇ましさ観光の声に送られて今ぞ入り立つ父母の国固は生きて帰らんと悠々心の勇ましさ
In January 1944, fast U.S. carrier forces were assigned to move into enemy-controlled waters and carry out a raid on the Marshall Islands, a strong link in Japan's outer defense ring. The Marshall Islands constituted a block in the path of the U.S. drive westward. At Kwajalein, the world's largest coral atoll, the main objectives were 3 small islands. For weeks, liberators of the 7th Air Force pounded the atolls in the eastern and central Marshall, softening up enemy strong points by strafing and bombing.
I was born during the war, and 24 hours a day, they bomb. That's why they call me Marok. Marok mean in English is dark, because I was born in the dark, no light, inside the bunker.
After softening up the islands, American assault troops stormed Kwajalein Atoll, the major Japanese base in eastern Micronesia. U.S. troops landed without much resistance, but still the battle raged on for 4 days while the defenders sniped from behind the ruins of buildings, fired from pillboxes, and threw themselves at charging American tanks. At the battle's end, only 200 of the defenders were taken alive. A week after the first assault, Kwajalein Atoll was in American hands. Prior to this, most of the Marshallese had been evacuated to other islands, where they provided for their families as best they could and said their goodbyes to their Japanese friends.
My father was involved in the evacuation of Marshallese from Jalud. He went to the Japanese radio operator, and he knew the guy so well that he went to him and he said, "Can you talk to the Japanese to surrender? Because the Americans will take care of you, take you back to Japan after everything is finished." And his response was, if I do that, my family at home will disown me. There is no honor in that. And the 2 guys held each other and cried, and my father went on to tell the Marshallese to assemble on this side of the island because they're going to bomb this side.
With the loss of Kwajalein and Eniwetok, 4 other Japanese bases in the Marshalls were neutralized as well, and so the Marshalls could be safely bypassed. Onward to the Carolines.
The U.S. now had possession of 2 key atolls in the Marshall Group. For from the Marshalls, the U.S. Air Force was in excellent position to launch attacks against the Caroline Islands in a giant island-hopping operation, which would take American fighting forces to the very doorstep of Japan itself. On Eniwetok Atoll, a strip capable of accommodating 4 squadrons of fighters was hurriedly finished. The target, the group of islands called Truk, was the most important enemy staging area between Japan and the Southwest Pacific. The legend of Truk's invincibility was about to be punctured effectively.
But en route to Chuuk lay Koshrai and Ponape with their Japanese garrisons. From both land and sea, U.S. forces began a series of raids against the Caroline Islands, which would render them useless for military purposes. In February 1944, air attacks began on Koshrai and Ponape.
I was visiting Colonia at the time. I was paddling back from Colonia near the bridge, and there were planes fighting overhead. When the planes were shooting above me, the bullets were flying everywhere. If they had hit me, I would have been killed. I was lucky. They fell into the water like someone was throwing stones into the sea.
I remember myself climbing the trees, to watch the fight in the air, Oh, it was amazing. Really amazing, you see the plane diving down, burning down. And that's how we got to know that the American plane were very strong and they have a much better gun, Because all the Japanese planes were shut down.
Ponape was also frequently bombed. As one Spanish Jesuit put it after a 2-day firebomb attack, Colonia, the capital of the island, no longer exists.